And welcome to this week's presentation for week 4. In this video, I will be going over what you will be learning about this week, as well as what the requirements for your real-world case study will be. So the first thing that I want to spend a little bit of time on is the case study from the Harvard Business Journal, the Kristen's Cookies. Now, I'm highly recommending that you do not leave this go until the end because you have a lot to finish before you can post on the discussion board. And the discussion board post is due on Thursday by 11:59 p.m. Remember to answer all the questions completely, do additional research, and always use examples. You'll be mapping the process out just like you did for the car wash and for your real-world case study. Remember, if I haven't given you feedback yet by the time you listen to this, what you do need to include are a title, all the steps in the process, including how long you think each step might take. I'm going to be looking for the correct use of symbols, meaning start, stop, decision, data input, and the end. If you want to review what these symbols are, you can go back to week 3's folder and look at what is process mapping, and that will share that information with you. You will also need a summary as well because you're going to be discussing multiple different information. Some of it we have discussed and some of it we haven't, so you probably will have to go out and do some of your own research. Unfortunately, this is the only way we can use the case study at this point in time because we also have 2 short simulations. So some of it will be you having to find it, but it's relatively easy to find. Your summary will need to you'll need to discuss inputs, the transformation process, outputs, different types of inventory. Now, inventory will be a whole section a few weeks down the road, but inventory includes your raw materials, your work in progress, and your finished goods. Potential bottlenecks that you think might be there, and then explain why it's a bottleneck. What is the throughput? This is why it is important to have the amount of time recorded for each step, and then the utilization, which also comes off of that. Now, at least give it a try, and then as a team we will work through this process on the discussion board, and I will correct to make sure that you have the right information at the end. But I want you to definitely try it on your own, do some research, talk to people where you work at, that type of thing. So that's the Kristen's Cookies. Don't leave it go until the end. So this week you're going to start working on measuring for success, or the control function. You may remember this from Principles of Management. It was one of the 4 functions of management. I just wanted to share this visual with you that's in front of you on the screen. It comes out of your reading for this week, and it kind of pulls together all the things that we're doing. Notice up here we have mission and business results, customer results. So really these are your outcomes. Then you have your outputs, and then you have your inputs. And all of these need to be measured one way or another according to a standard that's set or something that's set by the organization itself. So just so you know, that's why we started with a mission and strategies for the business, because those are important to know. And then I had you look at the process, because processes usually are the place where a lot of measuring goes on. So if you think about the process for the car wash, if they can shorten that car wash down, then that means they can have more cars go through that entire process, which, if you have more cars going through, would result in higher profits for an organization. That's just one really brief, easy example. So for your real-world case study performance metrics submission, what you'll want to do is determine and list what the objective for your real-world company is. So perhaps, and this should align back with the strategy that you discussed earlier. So for example, if one strategy for the organization was to differentiate themselves from the competition, which is the operational strategy, It would be to provide perhaps it's to provide excellent customer service. They don't want to have to keep training employees, because if you do that, that cuts back on the customer service. And at the end of the day, customer satisfaction is what they're trying to increase or keep at a high standard. So first you have to determine what to measure, and then a standard to use. So using a standard, we could measure our result to that standard. This is one example, and then I'll give you another example in the next slide on how you can use internal measure. Here, what I'm doing is using customer turnover at fast food restaurants. And I went to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and found that the average turnover rate at a fast food restaurant was 66.3%. So at my restaurant, it's currently at 76.6%. So we definitely are above average and need to work on that. I would determine and recommend what could be done, and this could include what somebody at that organization suggests if you have the opportunity to interview them, or maybe you discuss based on your research what other fast food restaurants have done. So if you can't get to that person at the real world case study, you can always do research and find out what other fast food restaurants are doing. So that's just one example, and that's using external data to compare to. So one of the examples in your packet of examples for real-world case studies, excuse me, is the campus bookshop. And they are looking at customer satisfaction. So one of the reasons why it's important to measure is because they are using the differentiation strategy of service. So if you go back to the reading materials found in week 2 and look at the table on page 47, that's going to tell you all the different operational strategies that are out there. So it's differentiation, response time or responsiveness, or cost. These are the way business strategies that businesses use to compete. So an example that you could provide is that they are using some type of a survey with a scale, with the 5 stars being the highest. And they're going to compare each term what the customer satisfaction rating is from these surveys. So if they get 5 stars, they're doing fine, so they know they're doing well. But if for some reason their ranking would go down, then they'd have to adjust and change based on that. Sometimes in a business like the campus bookshop, where things are changing really fast, they may even want to do more than just a customer satisfaction survey. They may want to find out how students are purchasing their textbooks and why, and or maybe if they're renting them, and if there's something that they could operationally change to meet the change in demand at the campus bookshop. Hopefully this helps you walk through it. As always, listen to this first, and if you have questions after you look at the scoring guide and any of the materials, please email me or call me. I'm happy to set up a time to discuss with you virtually as well. Just give me a bit of a heads up. Have a great week.